Good day, everyone. Good day, my dear students from BS Ed third year. This is the continuation of our discussion in technical writing, and we stop in our topic, business letter writing, and this is the continuation. We will be knowing the purpose, we will be knowing the basic parts as well as additional parts, and later on this presentation, you will be also acquainting yourselves with the different formats or styles how business letters should be written. Okay, to begin with, let's have the first slide. Whenever we are writing class, we should know the purpose why we are writing. That's one of the staple parts of basic business letter writing, that is to sustain the interest of those who wanted to read your letter. So it should be the choice of words must be in relation to your intention. You must establish a sustaining relationship between or among the sender and the receiver of the letter, because as I have said before, each letter has a unique purpose. The one we have last time is writing an application letter, wherein you have to include all the parts, wherein you have to include your purpose, why you have to write the letter. You showcase yourselves, your skills, your capabilities. So it means the purpose of the letter will determine the content of it. And as I also discussed last time, business letters are written in varied purposes. And here are some: to inform, to collect dues, to complain, to make an adjustment, to sell a product, service, or scheme, to congratulate, to apply for a job, to order, to inquire, or to request. Actually, there are lots of purposes why we write letters, and we enumerated some on our previous discussion. Here are some of the general formats in writing a business letter. First, you're asking me what kind of address should be written. So the response is it's the sender's company name, the sender's address. So it's enclosed in an asterisk, which means sender's address may be placed on top before recipient's address in a more conservative style. So you're asking me last time, is it the sender's address or the receiver's address? And it's already answered by this format. Then we also include the sender's phone number as well as the sender's email. We also have the date when the letter was written, and please include the recipient's company, and the recipient's address. There would be an optional part wherein you can put attention to a certain person designated for a task, or the one that could directly be involved in that task that you are heading to, or the purpose of your letter. Then we also have the salutation or the greeting. Example, dear, then recipient with prefix. First salutation, then subject in business letters. Then we have the content. What are you trying to say? What are your purpose? You can include there. Then we have the complimentary closing, such as sincerely, respectfully, regards, and etc. Then the name of the sender's title, the sender's address. It could be optional, the sender's address, if you already included it at the top of our heading. Then we have enclosures, the number of enclosure, another optional part. Okay, so now let's proceed with the elements. Business letters are different from personal letters as they have distinct structure and layout. You need to be familiar with not only this element but also the positioning of the letter and the purpose why they are included in the letter. That's why, class, we could say that business letters are more formal than personal letters because personal letters may not require all of the elements. But here, we have standard elements, the most important parts, which are obligatory in certain letter. But we also have additional elements, those that are optional. You can include, you can also omit. To know more, let's have this in detail. We have the standard element, including the heading, the date, the inside address, the salutation, the message, the complimentary clause, as well as the signature block. This is the one that I have discussed to you last time, wherein you have to include all of these parts when you write the letter of application. Then we have additional elements or the optional elements, the address notation, attention line, subject line, capitation, mailing notation, postscript, and the reference initials. So there, we will also have it in detail in one by one definition. Let's have first the standard element. Everybody knows what a heading is. Sometimes it is called as the letterhead, right? What would be the inclusion of the letterhead? The organization's name, the full address, as well as the telephone numbers. If the letterhead is not used, if you will not do this or write this, the heading includes the sender's address. Letterheads have the potential to create a favorable impression and hence need to be designed with thought and imagination. Whenever a letterhead paper is not used, the sender's address is either aligned with the left margin or a few spaces away from the center, depending upon the layout of the letter. Later on, I will be showing you some examples of the format of the letter. Then we have date. This is also staple part because it tells when the letter was written. It includes the date, the month, and the year, and you can write this in two ways. The first one, you can write first the exact date, the month, and the year. Another option is you write the month, the day, as well as the year. Let's have the continuation. Let's discuss the inside address. This part of the letter identifies the recipient of the letter and is separated from the date by at least one blank line. So at least one blank line. The amount of space separating the inside address from the date may be adjusted to suit the length of the letter. It is always best to address your letter to a specific person. You should be specific. You should identify the name of the person by checking the organization's website or telephoning the organization. So it's a big yes. If you are writing a letter and you know the exact name of the person whom you are writing to, it's a big yes for you because you will have the impression that you really research for it or you find an effort to know the name of the person that you are addressing your letter. Immediately following the addresses, names, and title, separate lines should contain the name of the company, the street address or post office box number, and the city and state or province with for a proper postal code or zip code. That's why you have to know as well your zip code, but this can be researched through Google naman. Then let's have the salutation. This is the greeting. In other terms, always try to address your letter to a personal by name rather than the title. If you send from a letter or if you cannot find a specific name, you may choose solution. If you cannot identify the exact name of the person, you can say, "Dear student, To all sale representative, dear madam or sir. And if your letter is addressed to a company, the proper salutation is gentlemen or ladies. Then if your letter is addressed to an organization, if only women or only men, you can use dear sir, dear ladies, dear madams. Then let's now proceed to the body or the message. Begin the letter of a business letter 2 spaces below the salutation or attention getting device. So 2 spaces, don't forget that. Each paragraph should be single space and a justified to left margin of the page with a double space separating each paragraph. It is acceptable to double space the text of a letter when the body is very short. This is done purely for cosmetic reasons, giving the letter a more visually balanced appearance on the page. In such instances, it is appropriate to indent the first line of each paragraph. That's what I'm trying to say before. The spacing depends upon the length of the letter. But usually, if the letter is not that long, you can double space your text. But if your letter is a bit long and then you just want to include it in a single page, you can adjust the spacing. Let's now proceed to the complementary clause. The complementary clause is placed 2 spaces below the last line of the letter's body. The complementary clause, or in Filipino, bating pangwakas. Customary expressions used to close a formal business letter include, here are some. Thank you, sincerely yours, and yours truly. Less formal expressions such as regards, and best wishes should be used only when the writer is addressing a business associate that is also a friend. So it depends upon the weight of closeness that you have when you write the letter. Because we have complementary clauses that are intended to be formal and complementary clauses that are less formal. When the expression contains 2 words, such as thank you, only the first word receives the initial upper letter case. So it's in thank only, not in you. A comma follows all forms of complementary clauses, why you always put comma after it. Allow your 4 spaces between the complementary clause and the typed version of the writer's full name. The space between is reserved for a handwritten signature. The writer's job position or title should appear directly below his or her name. The writer's signature should be identical to the printed version in those situations where the recipient is also a friend, in which case a first name is fine. Let's have the signature block. Leave 4 blank lines after the complementary clause to sign your name. Sign your name between the complementary clause and your printed name. How's you like her tidy signature above? So this one is an example of a signature line. Title is optional depending on relevancy and degree of formality. So here's an example of signature line together with the actual signature of the person who had written the letter. Now, let's proceed with additional elements. These are more specific elements that you use only when you need them. That's why I told you it's non-obligatory. Some of them are even interchangeable. Never include all of them. As always, use your own judgment in deciding which of them your letter can do without. In the letter below, you can see most of them. So here are the rulings. Some companies, especially the big ones, have a system of tracking letters by chronological numbers, employee initials, department codes, numbers, or whatever else they choose. This is what they put in the reference line. Or sometimes you can include the reference line in your letter to refer to the information specifically requested by the client or recipient, such as a job reference or invoice number. The reference is typed on one or two lines immediately below the date. This means it is typed to the right of the center in a modified block or indented business letters layout. Later on, I will be showing you some example of the letter or those format. Then we have the addressee notation. The sort of notation generally appears a double space above the inside address in all capital letter. Personal, confidential, or please forward through proper channel are examples of such notation which are used in the letter. I know you are familiar with some of those if you will be researching. You can find this appropriate action. That's why it's called addressee notation. What are the things that you should do upon receiving the letter? So those are the notation. We also have the attention line. An attention line can be used to draw the attention of a particular person or a particular department in an organization so as to ensure a quick and prompt action on your letter. That's why there would be attention, then there's the name of the person whom the letter can be also addressed for appropriate response or action. He or she is the first person to act on the letter, or the person written in the attention line will be the exact person to to decide on a certain matter depending on the purpose of your letter. Then we have the subject line. This element lets the recipient know at a glance what the letter is about. It also indicates where to file the letter for future reference. Then we have enclosure notation. This appears at the bottom of the letter, one or two lines below the reference list. Then we have the copy notation. The CC notation usually includes names of people to whom you distribute the copy. Sometimes you could include their addresses as well. So this CC is also familiar or common in email writing. I will be discussing the same with you. I will also focus with email writing on our next topics. If you don't want the addressee to know that the copy is being forwarded to a third party, use BCC. That's what we call to that. Is it blank or block? I just forgot. So we will have the thorough discussion when we discuss the email writing. If it is BCC, the person will not know that there are other person given the same letter. But if it is CC, it would be obvious that all of the recipients will see who are the other recipients of the letter. Yes. Okay, I just remembered. B means blind. So a blind carbon copy. The CC is the carbon copy. The BCC is the blind carbon copy. So get it. The citation appears on the office copy and the third party copy only, not the original. Okay, then we have the mailing notation. The manuals on business correspondence recommend to type special mailing notations in all of uppercase character before the inside address if you consider them necessary in your letter. But you might prefer to have them less visible. Your choice is, example, special, delivery, certified mail. Those are the mailing notation. Instruction as well on the type of mailing. We also have the postscript. Letter may also be postscripts, id-s, or for example, afterthoughts to the letter, to the message that require emphasis, or personal notes. Postscripts are not needed anymore for including a forgotten piece of information. That's the PS that you have the uso before the PS, postscript. piece of information as a whole letter can easily be edited for that purpose. They still can be used to add more informal, personalized touch to a formal communication. Contemporary sales letters use them as a common tactic, implying that the writer has an additional reason for the customer to buy the products. And postscripts are also common in medical letters. Say for an instance, class, the writer had wanted to make pahabol na message. That's why postscript is given. But these are more informal. And yes, that's the end of our presentation today. And hoping that I had given you a recapitulation as well of business letter writing. And after this, I will be having another discussion on the different layouts or formats of business letters. Okay? So that would be all for this session, and hoping that you can enumerate or jot down some important parts of my talk, because that would be included in our midterm examination. So that would be all for today. Goodbye.